okay, buddy? What's the matter? Continue your narrative.
Anyways.
Wait. Can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you summarize what you've got so far? I kind of forget.
Okay. I don't know if
It's the impossible task. You can't do that.
Okay.
Are you okay, Tyler? What are you laughing at? He's lost his damn mind. He's fucking lost it.
Oh no, I can't get up. Oh no, I'm dying.
This man has lost his fucking mind.
Okay, so you're at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And
Back to it.
Yeah. So you're at Walmart, right? You're at Walmart. And you're at Walmart, right?
You still at Walmart? It's crazy.
Spit it out already, you fucking
I can't. I'm sorry. You.
Jesus Christ, dude. There's something wrong here.
Okay, so you're at Walmart, right? You're with Alex, and you're like, oh no, I don't have any money.
Because
You don't have
you
any?
spent it trying to get Billy back because he's kidnapped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So then you're in this area with food, and you see a perfectly good calzone that has mozzarella and pepperoni in it, right?
Sounds pretty good to me.
And
Yeah.
yum.
Does
right?
to me too.
And then Alex is like, does to me too. That's what Alex said at Walmart, right? And then Bob is like, does to me too. So then you're like, oh man, I'm really hungry. I wish I could eat that calzone right now. But you have no money, right? You have Hello?
Is this something that you
Yeah.
have to pay
Yeah, we got
for?
no money.
You have no money, right?
Fuck. I can get it.
Dude, you don't have any money. You have no money. Oh no. You don't have any money. Right? And you're like super sad about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then, right? Alex is like, oh, we should just take the calzone, right? And but then
That's what I would say.
there's a little
100%.
there's a little angel on the side of Bob's shoulder that says, no, I don't think you should take the calzone, right? But then the little devil on
Or is it a
this
figurative one?
this is a figurative one, like from Emperor's New Groove. So right, so then and the little devil on Alex's shoulder is like, oh, you better take that calzone, right?
That's the only one
So
I listen
then,
to.
right. So then you're like, you like start like charging up all your energy, right? And then you take the calzone. You take the calzone, right? And then Bob was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take one too, cause I'm hungry. But you grab a cheese and steak calzone, okay? You grab that one."
I would like that
Okay.
much less.
What?
I would enjoy that much less.
Then you're like, "I would enjoy that much less." And then you grab a different.
How do you know?
Dude.
Look, man, I want the pepperoni and cheese one.
Yeah, you grab one of those, right?
Okay, got it.
And then you are going to the area where you leave the store in the front area, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, Alex, look, they have what's it called? You know the big thing that like you spin and it has like a bunch of numbers on it? It's like an arcade game. You guys' Walmarts have arcades?
What?
No.
No? Well, imagine you did, okay? So then there's like, oh, dude, I really want to play that. That's what Alex says, right? And then
You know
Bob
what?
is, Bob, what?
I don't think I can imagine that my Walmart is an arcade. You lost me.
You can't.
That's too far.
It's called Game Room. That's what they have. You've never had that?
Never seen that before in my life.
You've never? There's so many that have them.
I've never even heard of that.
No, that's weird. They have like miniature arcades, or they have like games and stuff, and they have little ride things, and they have like. Does your Walmart not have like a little like a little like claw machine?
No title.
Oh.
Really? You must have a sucky Walmart.
We have a Starbucks in our Walmart.
Oh, that
I
sucks.
don't have anything in my Walmart. I got a fucking pharmacy like every other Walmart.
So, anyway, then you leave the store, and then you're like, how are you supposed to heat up this calzone because they're cold, right?
Wait, why are they cold?
Because it's a
Were
calzone.
they not pre-made?
Of course.
What? Do you go to Walmart and go to the deli and ask one calzone, please, warmed, and then they give you that?
What do you? What
No.
We just have to take the one that's on the ground, Elliot, because we're stealing it.
There was a calzone on the ground.
Seriously, why are you said that? In the food area with the food, right?
In the food area of the Walmart, there's just two calzones hanging out. They're not under
Okay.
any heat lamps or anything. If they're under heat lamps, you would see us taking them.
Dude, it's so true. See, Alex knows what he's talking about, okay? He knows what he's talking about. He knows. Okay, so then you like leave, then you left Walmart, right? And then
Yeah.
you're in your wait a minute. You think that you'd sell your car so you could save Billy again, or do you think you'd not do that?
I don't have a car.
I would sell
See.
my car for Billy.
Okay, so you just sold your car to save him, and you don't have a car now, right? Because you're just walking home with your frozen calzones, all right?
Wait,
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh man,
Can we get more narrative on the Billy plot?
okay.
I like that. I like that
Um,
B plot more.
the B plot, okay. So this is what happens before you go to Walmart because you're hungry, okay? Right. So Billy is sitting in his room.
Plato, why did you leave Laundry Simulator? Get back here.
I needed more RAM.
No. Get
So
back here.
I can't. I'm laying. So anyway, I don't have the brain capacity to play that game right now. I
What
can't.
do you
I can
mean? It
barely.
doesn't require
I can.
any.
I can
He's
barely.
using his full brain on the story that you're trying to.
I can barely think of.
Fine.
I'm thirsty. Hold on, I need the water. Okay. Okay. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so Billy was in his room, kicking his feet up in the air, twiddling his thumbs. He has his he's like wrapping his hair in a circle around his finger and then like letting it go.
Like a fucking
Right?
like a teenage girl does.
You described him so well.
Hey, so that's what he's doing. He's on his little he's on his phone, right? And he's on his phone, but it's a Motorola Razor. What are those called?
Wait, is it because he broke his other phone?
Yeah,
That sounds like
probably.
Billy.
So he's on his
You got him
Motorola
100% there.
Razor, and he has a little like sunflower sticker on the back. It's getting a little bit old though. But anyway, he's just sitting on it. He's talking to his friends, and then all of a sudden his mom walks in the room, and his mom says,
Teresa appearance.
Teresa.
so then Risa is like, Billy, your dad's downstairs. He needs to talk to you, right?
Ooh.
Right? So then, wait, Billy has a dad, right?
He does have a dad.
But they're
Oh,
It's
divorced.
David without a dad.
His parents are
What?
divorced.
Oh, so his dad came back home, okay? And his dad's like, Billy? And Billy's like, yeah. Right? So that's what Billy said. And then Billy was like, Dad, why are you here in my house? What are you doing here? Right? And then his dad was like, Billy, I need you to come with me right now, because I need you. Right? So the Billy was like, oh man, I was okay, here we go. So then they go out the door, right? They leave. So now they're like in this little car. And all of a sudden, so then Billy's like, they're like, Dad, where are you taking me, Dad? Right? That's what Billy says. And then his dad is like, son, we're gonna go somewhere where nobody's ever gonna find you again. Right? That's what his dad said. And then Billy said, oh no. Billy's really upset. You know, he has a little frown on his face. Can you imagine Billy with a frown on his face right now, Billy,
I
please?
can. I'm imagining.
See that? That's Billy in the car with his dad. Very sad. And then a semi rams into the side of the car, right? And his dad is very dead. And
Jesus
then
Christ.
Oh.
right? So then Billy gets out of the car and he starts running away. And then the guy in the semi is like, I'm gonna take you, and if anybody wants you, it's gonna be $1 million. And now Billy's in the back of the semi, right? And but all they gave him back there to occupy himself was one of those bouncy balls that you get at and like the little train machine, the little like things you get for a quarter that you always want to chew on. You know those? Yeah, that's the only thing he
Yeah.
has. And he has to decide between chewing on it or bouncing it. He can. And he's in distress. He doesn't know what he's gonna
That is a
do.
stressful situation.
He only has one. So anyway, and then he sends out a little postcard through the little hole in the back of the semi, and then the post office man he picks it up and he puts it into the thing and he sends it to Bob's house. And then Bob reads it, and Bob is Elliot, by the way. And Bob reads it,
Yes.
and Bob reads it, and then he's like, "Oh no!" And then he tells his brother about it, and then his brother's like, "Oh no!" And then Bob goes downstairs to his dungeon, and he has to call up he has to call up all of his friends. He calls David first. David's like, I don't care. And
Don't
then
you
he
just send
hangs
it to the
up.
group chat?
Damn, David just said I don't care.
David, David
David.
doesn't, David doesn't
What an
care.
asshole, man.
David doesn't care.
What a piece of
Why?
shit. Fuck you,
Why
David.
doesn't David
God
care?
damn it.
Why David doesn't care?
David doesn't believe because he knows dads don't come back.
It's funny
Yeah.
because he doesn't have a dad.
Anyway,
That was fucked.
and Bob is like, "Oh no, no, David won't even help me get Billy back. What am I gonna do?" But then Bob is like, "I have an idea," and he calls Alex, and then Alex is like, "Grr, I am so mad that
He's mad all the time.
He's really mad. He's really mad, right?" And then he's like, I know exactly how to get Billy back. Because Alex put a tracking device inside Billy's ear one time.
Fuck.
Because he
I
didn't
thought
want
about doing
That's a
that.
pretty Alex thing to do, not gonna lie.
he didn't want he didn't want to lose him again. Like last time. So now Alex is like, I have put a tracking device inside Billy's earlobe. And Bob is like, no, you didn't. And then Alex is like, yes, I did. And then Bob is like, you better show me it right now. So then Alex comes over to Bob's house, right?
No, I say I
And
need $1 million and I'll give it to you.
no, that would ruin the
Don't
story.
ruin his narrative,
You don't
Alex.
have $1 million yet. Anyway, Alex comes over to Bob's house, and then Alex is like, you want to see it? And then Bob is like, yes. and then he shows him he has a little device with like a big and yellow antenna on top of it and a gray little box and it has like a green grid radar and it goes beep 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 every time Alex moves and Alex is in his back of a semi debating on if he wants
Hey,
to
Billy.
chew or Billy's in the back of the semi debating if he wants to bounce or chew on that bouncy ball that he got. And so then Alex is like, we gotta go save him, but we don't have $1 million, right? And then Bob is like, oh no. So then Bob is like, "Oh, I know what we can do to get $1 million." And then Alex is like, "No, you don't." And then Bob is like, "Oh, you're right, I don't." But then out of nowhere, David like whacks open the door. But he was in the bathroom the whole time, right? And then he's just like him, and he's really old, but he's still the same height.
What?
But then he goes through the door and he's like, "Bob, Bob, I'm from the future, Bob." Right? And
He
then
doesn't
and
call you
then
Bob, but I see what you're
He
saying.
no, he's from the no, because he thinks your name is Bob now because you changed your name in
yeah,
the future.
Oh,
yeah. Forgot about that.
Follow the narrative, okay?
you
Come
just made
on.
that up.
Follow the
No, he
narrative.
didn't. No, he didn't. Clearly, you haven't read the other books.
What?
So anyway, so
You're
anyway,
not caught up on the lore.
so anyway,
Continue.
so David comes through the door. He has like old right here, and then he's like, "Bob, I'm from the future, Bob. I gotta tell you something." And then you're like, "Holy smokes, David! What are you doing in my bathroom, man?" And then he's like, David's like, "I know this is gonna be hard for you, but I'm from the future, Bob." And then you're like, "Whoa, this is heavy, right?" That's what you say, Bob. And then David's like, "I need you to come back. I have my time traveling car in your bathroom, and we need to go back to the future, okay?" And Alex is like, "What am I gonna do, right?" And then you're like, and then what's David's like, "Oh no, Alex is here," right? So then David shoots Alex. So Alex is
What?
What
dead.
the fuck?
He's dead, right? He's dead.
How can
Oh
I be dead if
no!
I'm alive in the future?
Yeah. How can he be
You're
dead
not
if we go
actually.
to the if we go to Walmart?
Hey, you're not actually dead, okay?
Oh, sorry.
That's a
Oh, of
that's a
course.
I understand.
It's a little right, and then you're like, "Geez, David, you just blew him away." And then David's like, That's not the real Alex, Bob. We gotta get out of here. Get in my time traveling car, right?" So then you gotta reach a mileage of 60 miles per hour inside his bathroom to go to the future, right?
And he touches
And
your
you're
butt the entire time.
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He didn't do that. Did not do that. That's not David. David doesn't do that. Yeah. Okay.
He,
This is
Yeah.
David from the future. Okay. This is David from the future.
wait.
So then
I have a very important question. Are me and
why?
David in the future married?
No. What?
Okay, I'm just making
Well,
sure.
actually, no, no,
You're married for financial reasons, and you also both fuck other people on the side.
no. You don't. That's not what David's from the future. He just got back to the past because he gotta save Billy.
So, okay,
Anyway,
continue.
Anyway, so then you're in the time, you're traveling through time, right? And then you're like, "Billy, what are we doing? Bill, I mean, David, what are we doing in here, David?" And then David's like, "You're trying to save Billy right now, right?" And then you're like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Well, that guy, Alex, that guy, that wasn't the real Alex." And then you're like, "What? Who was that?" And you were like, and he was like, "That's Alex, the evil Alex. He's the bad one of him, right?" And you're like, "Holy smokes, where's the real Alex?" And then he's like, "The real Alex is contemplating on what calzone he wants to get, right?" So that's what Alex is doing right now. Okay. And then you're like, "Oh no, which one is he gonna choose?" And David's like, "That's not important right now, you idiot." And then, that's what he says. And then you're like, "Why'd you say that to me? That's not very nice." Right? And then he's like, "I'm sorry. I'm really stressed out right now because Billy in the future never gets out of that truck and he's still in there. And we gotta save him or else the earth is gonna explode, right?" So then you're like, "Oh,"
Oh.
you're like, "Oh no, we gotta save him,
Plot
right?"
thickens.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what happened. So then you travel in time to go to where, like, to where David, like in the future, and he shows you, right? and you're like, oh no, right? And it's like there's just a semi driving around with Billy in the back of it. You're like, why didn't we ever save him? And then he's like, you never got that $1 million, Bob. You never were able to do it, right? Because the evil Alex kept holding you back from getting it, right? And you're like, oh, it's a good thing you shot him. And then he's like, yep. So then you go back in time to where you go in the future, right? But this is when you go into the future to when you and what's his name?
You need some help?
What's up? No, I'm trying to remember
No,
his
you can do
name.
it. You can do it on his own.
No, I'm trying to remember his name.
Describe him.
Liam. You know Liam?
Oh yeah, the
Liam
stoner
Boland or
Yeah,
Roland?
The
Liam.
stoner guy?
Liam.
Yeah, Liam Roland.
Liam. I met Liam, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
Liam. And Liam, he was like, we gotta go get Liam right now. Why? And then you're like, because we gotta get him in the back of the car. And you're like, okay. So then they go to pick him up in the exact same timeline that you killed Evil David from. That's your timeline. And then you're like,
Evil
what are we doing
David?
here? No, the evil. Yeah, you killed evil. Alex. Remember,
Yeah.
right? So then you go pick up Liam, right? And then you're like Liam, you gotta get in the car right now. And Liam doesn't want to. So then you leave, right?
Yeah.
Because Liam doesn't want to. He's too busy doing other stuff right
Smoking
now.
weed.
No, he's trying to figure out how
He's
many
become a
men it
monk.
takes. He's trying to figure out how many guys it takes to change a light bulb. He can't figure it out though, and he's thinking about it really hard. Okay, so you have to leave him alone, right?
Alright.
Okay. Then you're like driving around in your car, and then you're like, "Oh, we gotta pick up the real." So then you go to Walmart, and you're like, "Alex, get in the car." And Alex is like, "I'm trying to pick out my food," and
There's
you're
a
like,
girl
"Nope,
stuck
get
in
in."
my washing machine.
There's a girl stuck in your washing machine.
That was really funny.
Why is she stuck in
That sounds
I
like a
don't know.
dream.
Continue the story, man. I'm really invested.
there? Are you?
Stop,
Anyway,
bro. I'm in your
s-
washing machine.
anyway, so you go say, so then you go get Alex, and you're like, Alex, I killed the evil version of you, and you're like, and then he's like, oh, thank you so much. I was trying to stop him, but I couldn't because I'm not strong enough to beat him yet, right? And
Probably.
then, and then this is what happens next, okay? Then you're like, oh no, we gotta get really strong so that we can save Al, or we can save Billy, right? And you're like, how are we gonna do that, right? And then you take a bunch of steroids, right?
Oh my god.
That David has him. He has future steroids, right?
Future
So then
steroids.
you're like, ooh,
No
uh huh,
side effects.
no side effects.
Wait,
Well,
really?
except for one, but there's
They're
one
future
side effect.
steroids.
What's the side effect?
There's, you don't get to know yet.
Okay.
Anyway, so you're like, now that we're super strong, we can go make the $1 million to go save Billy, right?
Okay.
So then you're like, how are we gonna get the $1 million, right? And then Alex is like, I know, my favorite game that I play every single day of my life. And then my mom is like, come on, you gotta come eat dinner. And you're like, no, I can't. I'm busy gaming, right? Your favorite
Yeah.
game is Big Buck Hunter, right? The arcade Big Buck Hunter game, you know?
Okay.
You have a Big Buck Hunter machine in your room, right? And then
Yeah.
you're like, we should enter a tournament for Big Buck Hunter, and then we'll win the $1 million. And then Bob's like, I don't know how to play that game now. I've never been hunting in my entire life, right?
What a baby.
And then I know, right? And then Alex is like, I can show you the way. So then you go back to Alex's room, but guess who's there?
Who?
Billy's dead dad.
What
Bum
the
bum
fuck?
bum.
Wait. This is taking
And
place
he's
in the future, right?
Wheel.
We are
No,
currently.
this is when.
This is
No, you
currently in the
came back.
future.
This is in your
Oh,
timeline
right, wait.
when
We went
because
back
he
to my
tried to go
timeline and
ask.
went to see real Alex. I got it.
Yeah. Well, you had to go see Liam first, but he was busy.
Right.
Anyway, so then you go
Holy
to Alex's
cow.
house, and future David's like, guys, I gotta go get one more thing from the future to help you. I'll be back and when you need me the most. And then you say goodbye, David. I'll see you very soon. You're like, okay, and then he leaves, right? And then you walk, yeah, you bust down the door to Alex's room, and then
Alex
you
room.
then and then David's Billy's dad is there, and he's like, "Ah, you're supposed to be dead, right?" And then he's like, "I lied." And then he comes and attacks you guys, but you guys are super buff right now because you took future steroids. And then you start beating up his dad. And then Alex says, "What if this isn't the right path? What would Billy want us to do right now, right?" And then
Yeah.
you're like, and then Billy speaks to you through your heart, and he's like, "Guys, you gotta kill my dad, right? Again." And he speaks to you through your hearts because your hearts are connected because you love each other so much.
Aw.
So then,
Oh, that's awesome.
and then, and then you beat up his dad, and your dad says, "Oh, you better watch out because you don't know the side effect of future steroids,
What?
right?"
Wait.
And then he
Okay.
then he withers away, but like as he withers away, all of his like withering parts become pixelated and go up into the air. And then you're like, oh, I bet he doesn't come back later again. And then Alex is like, that wouldn't happen. Anyway, then you play Big Buck Hunter for the next 72 hours,
Oh man.
right? And then Alex's mom walks in the room, and he's like, Alex, you've been in here for 72 hours. What are you doing? And then he's like, Mom, I have no time to explain. We gotta go save Billy, right? And then you
Yep.
walk down the stairs, and then Alex's little brother says, "Oh, I hope you are okay." And then you save him.
Uh,
I don't
Alex
have a
has a
little
little.
brother.
He has a little
You
brother in this
do.
story.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Okay,
Great.
understandable. Gotta bend the rules sometimes.
No, this isn't bending the rules. This is real.
All right, Alex, you have a little
Anyway,
brother now.
well, not
What?
okay. Well, this is what happens,
Wait,
and
is
then
it? Wait, what
this
about
is
baby?
no,
You forgot my little brother.
no,
Where's he?
no.
Where's his
Alex's little brother takes Alex's hand. He says, "Oh, I do hope you save Billy. I miss him so much." And then all of a sudden, Alex's little brother starts disintegrating into thin air.
What the
And then
fuck?
he's like, "Oh, it's like, oh no! The side effects of future steroids are for your little brothers to disintegrate."
What the
And then you
Oh.
forget about him that he ever was your little brother, but but his spirit stays
Man,
walks
that could
around
that
with.
could have happened.
I know it did. It did.
Holy shit.
You forgot about it.
I was late.
But his spirit always walks around with you to help you in your toughest battles, so it's okay.
good lord.
No.
So anyway, then you're leaving and you're like, oh boy, oh it's time to go save Billy. And then Bob like hits his hands together with one of his hands clenched, the other one like in a high five. Goes, and there's like huge air, like all like like shockwave. And then you're like, and then the guy driving the semi's like, oh no, they're coming. And then he starts driving really fast down the bridge, right? So he's in like the middle of a big bridge over the river, right? And then you like drive it, and then you're like running really fast to go save him. And then Billy has a little peephole that he gets to look out by the back of the semi, and he's like, "Oh boy, they're here! Oh boy, they're here! Oh boy, they're here!" And he bounced up in the air 3 times, right? And then he
Yeah.
dropped his bouncy ball, and he's like, "Oh no, I gotta find it." So he's looking for it now, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, so you guys are like chasing down this big truck, and then Alex is like, "Oh no, our future steroids are gonna run out in 32 minutes. That's not enough time to save Billy, right?" And then
Bruce.
future David comes back, goes like he's driving his car with you guys are running, and you're like, guys, I have to tell you something really important. But then guess what happens?
What?
Fuck, dude, does he die?
No, well, the cyborg version of Billy's dad comes back
Oh,
because he
fuck,
like
dude.
comes back from the sky when he's like pixelated, and he goes,
Dude, he's
big
like William
black guy.
Afton, dude. He never dies.
Dude, and he's like, you can't take Billy away from this semi. And then he like yells and he like yells, but it's like a robot yelling that, you know. And then you're like, oh no, we gotta beat him up. And then David's like, wait guys. And then robot Billy's dad shoots a big laser out of his mouth, and then blows up the car that David's in. Future
No!
David.
Not
And
future
future
David!
Not
David.
future
Future,
David.
future David crashes.
No!
He just crashes into the side of a light pole, right? So then you don't know if future David's alive yet. Anyway, you're chasing down this big semi, right? You're having a super epic battle with cyborg robot Billy's dad, right? And then Billy in the side, he's like, I'm giving you my energy, and he raises his arms up in the air, and it's like, woo, you know. And then you're like, oh, we have energy from Billy now, right?
Hell
And
yeah.
then, dude, it was so crazy. And then it's like, right? And then you and Alex fuse together, right? And then you
Whoa! Holy
come on,
Oh
shit!
no.
Oh!
you become Balix, right? That's what you
Balance?
become. Uh huh.
Wait,
And then you're
where's
like,
the B come from?
That's
Bob,
our ship name.
Where's the B
Bob,
come? Oh,
Bob and Alex,
I forgot.
Balix.
I forgot. Elliot? Shouldn't it be Elliot because I didn't change my name to Bob
No,
That's
no,
a shit name.
Alex. Balix is much cooler,
yet.
right?
What about
So
Elix? Elix. Elix is cool.
no, Balix. Your name is
Uh,
Balix.
Your
Okay,
name's gonna be
okay.
Bob in the future, so it's Balix. Come on,
Fine.
way
Anyway.
easier.
Anyway, so now you can fly, right? And then the guy, then robot cyborg Billy's dad is like, "Oh, you haven't seen the last of me." And then he shoots you with his gun,
Wait, I have a
and you're like,
question.
"Oh, what?"
Does he say I always come back?
No, he doesn't say
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's super lame. Who would say that?
That would be like super cliche, right?
It's super
And then
caca.
cliche, right? And then anyway, Billy's dad, that's a robot cyborg, shoots you, and you like grab the bullet mid-air and then destroy the bullet, and he's like, "Uh-oh, he's too powerful," right? So then and then and he goes and grabs Billy out of the back of the semi, right? And he's like, "I am gonna kill him right now, unless you give me $1 million." Right?
So we just pull $1
And
million out of our ass and give it to him.
no, no. And then Liam flies in out of nowhere and he's like, I found out how many men it takes to fix a light bulb. Right? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he kills Billy's dad.
Holy
Right?
shit.
There was like a huge explosion, right? And then Liam is like, you know what, guys? I'm so happy that we're all here together and we're all safe again, right? And then but then you're like, oh no. Well, yeah, you guys unfused, by the way. You're back to your normal self,
Okay.
right? And you're like, oh no, we gotta go check on future David. So then all four of you run over to David, and then he's like, Alex, come closer. He's like, the car is on fire, and he's like inside of it. But then you guys put out the fire, right? And he's
Yeah.
dying. He's like gonna die. He's really close to dying, and he's like, Alex, come closer. I need to tell you something really important, right? And then he
Yeah.
whispers something secret in your ear, right? And you're like, okay. And then he dies, and you're really sad.
Damn.
Anyway, that's the B plot. That's the B plot. Anyway, back to Walmart.
That's
This
how
is
that happened.
this is a bit.
So you just explained the whole plot of what happens after Walmart 2?
No, that was before Walmart.
That was before.
So now you're-
That was
Yeah,
the
I was-
$1 million story.
Yeah. So anyway, you're there, right? And then you're looking at the calzones like, man, I wish I'm so hungry. And then you're like, "Ah, you know what, Alex? What did future David tell you?" And he's like, oh, he told me to get the pepperoni calzone instead of the steak and cheese one. And then you're like, then you go home and you're with you're holding hands and skipping down the road together. And there's big words that come down from the sky that says the end.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Question mark? Question
What
mark?
question
Holy
mark?
shit,
You
dude.
can't do that to us.
That was.
And then you hear an evil out loud. Billy's dad in the
Oh,
background
no.
over that at the end.
No way.
Uh
Dude.
oh.
Billy's dad is the William Afton of this story. Dude, that was
What
fucking.
is-
I feel like I
Dude,
just finished listening to a fucking audio novel.
Yeah.
That was pretty legendary.
That was and you know what? You know what the best part is? I recorded
What?
99% of it.
Did you really?
I dead ass did. I've been.
Oh.
I've had OBS open for 36 minutes.
Well, I think you should completely just upload that.
Oh, absolutely. I intended on it.
You gotta tell
That's a Getty Images. This is your first Getty Images.
Dude,
What does that
Tyler,
even
you're
mean?
on Getty Images. How do you feel?
I don't even know what that means.
That's our YouTube channel where we do retarded shit.
Oh, dude. I get to hear the entire story.
You know what? 20 years from now, when I'm rich and famous, I'm gonna have this animated into an actual show.
You're gonna have this animated.
Fuck yeah, I am, bro. I'm so
Alex
glad.
is-
I'm so
Oh,
glad
what
I
the
hit
fuck?
the record button. It's when I noticed Tidal was going somewhere, and I realized it wasn't gonna stop for a while, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna subtly hit record.
Oh, that took like, no, man, that was like all of my brain power combined into
It's
one.
5:30.
That
Fuck,
was an
dude.
That means it's 4:30 for me. Oh my gosh.
I'm
How
gonna get
long
off
was
that,
that
dude.
story?
After the next nuke, I'm getting off for sure. It's like 15 minutes away.
That was such a great story, man.
Oh my gosh. What's your favorite part?
I think my favorite part was when me and Alex did the fusion.
Yeah, you turned into Alex.
Turned into Balix. It's like fucking Dragon
That's
Ball,
crazy.
bro.
Mm-hmm.
Gogeta. Is that where you drew your inspiration from?
Well,
I love
I
how
remember-
90% of the story was the B plot.
well, the ending, the A plot ended off with like, you had to hear the B plot to hear the A plot.
Of course.
I think the A plot's kind of the B plot, and the B plot's kind of the A part, but
Yeah, no,
but we're not gonna talk
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, I think
We're not
I
gonna
think
talk
the
about
A-plot,
it.
I think the A plot is more of just like the end, you know?
And the start. It's more of like a flashback, you know. It's like